Tristan Aitchison is an award-winning documentary filmmaker based in the Black Isle, and for the last 4 years he's been following the LGBT youth in Africa for his film Sydney and Friends. Tell me first of all, Tristan, how did you go about finding Sydney and Friends?
It was a bit of a kind of accident, to be honest with you. I didn't set out to make this film, or any film, to be honest. And I was actually going to visit my sister, who was living in Nairobi. She still does. And you get 2 suitcases to go to Africa. So I thought, well, I'll just pack a camera, a tripod, and a mic, and see if I can find some sort of thing to film, make a short 10-minute documentary. And what I found was something like a whole lot more that kind of took over the next 4 years of my life. When I was there, I met lots of people. Nothing was really taking my interest. There were things that had kind of been done before, but it just so happened I met someone called Gulit, who is an LGBTI transgender activist, and he said, look, I run an NGO, and I have members who want to speak out. They've got nothing else to lose, and so I got to know Gulit, I got to know his members. I liked them and they liked me, so over a period of 2 months we tried our best to kind of shoot as much as we could, which proved quite troublesome because obviously it's a very taboo subject. I was shooting guerrilla, underground, I had no budget. So I was living off £50 a week in Nairobi, and Nairobi's an expensive place. So it was tough. We had to. So a lot of those filming 6 people were estranged from their families for obvious reasons. So weren't living at home, weren't living with parents. 2 of them, Ben and Sydney, were living in the slums. So it was difficult to film and find places that we could film. So obviously we were shooting guerrilla, so we couldn't shoot in public. We had to. I had one living room to shoot in that was Gulit's living room, and if I wanted to shoot them together, I had to smuggle them into a forest, and that's where we kind of did group filming with them.
And at what point did 2 months become 4 years?
So I had these interviews, half of them were in Swahili, so obviously I didn't conduct those interviews, I filmed them, but it took 6 months for me to get those translations. I couldn't afford to have them translated, so I actually didn't really know what they were saying.
Oh, wow.
So that was 6 months until I sold cameras and things so I could get what I had. I knew I had something. So eventually I had them translated, got them transcribed, and started putting stuff together. At that point, also then trying to find funding. A national broadcaster did come to me asking about it and take it for a 23-minute for broadcast piece, but they wanted to change it, and for reasons I kind of held that up and didn't go down that channel, which I thought at the time might have been a mistake because time passed and time passed and time passed, and we didn't really get anywhere. Trying to finish it to the quality that we wanted it to be finished. So eventually Amanda Millen of Screen High and XpoNorth came to the rescue last year, exactly a year to go today, where she said, you know what, let's just try and finish it ourselves, and that's what we've done.
Now you tutor film students as well. Do you share your stories of making things like Sydney and Friends?
Yes, kind of. I don't. So on the BFI Film Academy Highlands and Islands, we have masterclasses with film professionals from all across Scotland, and one of them that it works quite well just because I'm from the Highlands and Islands and have the experience of being a creative professional here, that I do speak to them for an hour about my experiences, and we watch my films and they can ask all the questions that they want to ask, and it usually goes, they quite like that.
Are there advantages, do you think, to being a filmmaker outside the central belt of Scotland?
Yes. There's obviously difficulties, and they're the obvious ones. It's geographically far away. People generally, maybe from the central belt or other parts of the UK, don't realise what is going on here. And you just have to come to XpoNorth to see, not just in film and broadcast, in screen broadcast, but across all the creative industries, whatever that might be, textile, fashion, music, that there's so much going on, and often with a kind of an internationalist outlook. which you can see perhaps in my film that's screening tomorrow, but also in David Graham Scott's film that's screening today, both from the Highlands and both with about Africa with an African influence. But just, I met Douglas McKinnon, the Doctor Who director, and a while ago now, it was like when I was struggling and feeling I wasn't really getting anywhere, and he said to me that immediately, when you're from the Highlands and Islands, you're immediately different from everybody else, just because of where you're from, the traditions, the landscape, being remote and rural, perhaps with a Gaelic influence, and that immediately makes you stand out from everyone else and all the stories that other people are telling. And it was like, yes, that is right.
Do you think that something could be done, more could be done to support filmmakers in Scotland, but particularly people outside this sort of Glasgow, Edinburgh band?
Yeah, it's a touchy subject, I think.
I know. Pick the bones out.
I think for emerging filmmakers in Scotland, there's a ladder, and the ladder's up there, and it's missing a few rungs. And you really need a big push up to get to that bottom rung, and that's what I found really, really difficult, especially with funding for our film. It wasn't available, but
I mean, I wonder if there's a question of awareness. I mean, genuinely, you see the talent that comes from around here. Shetland has got, a really thriving film community, and you wonder why the word isn't out there. Why the word doesn't seem to be percolated through more widely about this.
I don't know. I get a feeling because I'm from the Highlands and Islands that the film industry goes through the Central Belt, and if it's not the Central Belt, it's London. And I haven't done that. I decided that, look, there's so much competition that there must be another way, and that's perhaps being internationalist in outlook and seeing what else is out there, and perhaps bypassing the Central Belt, and that's what we've done. So Sydney and Friends. The score was written in Los Angeles. It's been the score was produced and recorded in London. The titles were designed in London. We've recorded the vocalists on the soundtrack in Cape Town. We've had voice actors recorded in New York, in Edinburgh and Nairobi. Obviously, it was filmed in Nairobi, and we've had it post-produced in RTS post-production in Glasgow. All in connection in association with Screen Height and XpoNorth. So that's something I'm really, really proud about, that actually we've created a film that's international, but that's been produced in the Highlands and Islands.
Well, more power to you, Tristan. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.